Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
Okay, why do mushrooms get invited to all the parties?
Oh, I know this one. I think because they're the fun guys. Yeah, they're the fun guys. Okay.
This week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pests such as wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com.
So fall is going to come before we know it. Time is always passing us by. Some people feel it's going more rapidly than in previous times in their life, but fall will be here in a couple of months. And based on your area of where you're gardening, we have listeners in podcast form in all 50 states, terrestrial radio in multiple states, from Atlanta, Georgia to the Pacific Northwest to the Northeast and the New England area, and everywhere in between. So we're going to give you the information, and then you take it from there to figure out what's going to be most applicable for your area and the time in which you should be planting these items, and go from there.
Right. So you want to think about your first average frost date in the fall, and you want plants that like cooler.
Well, how do we find that?
Oh, you find that by going to your favorite search engine and typing in first average frost date, and you can put your zip code, and ours is, I think, October 15th or something like that. And then you want to figure out, you kind of want to back off from that date, what would be good to plant that could handle the cooling temps.
It's going to mimic it for 95%. It's going to mimic what you would normally plant in the spring. You can plant in the fall, figure out your time frame in which that's going to work. Now, the advantages, like you said, the advantages in the fall, there's advantages and disadvantages. The one advantage is the days are getting shorter, nights are getting longer, and it's getting chillier or colder. And these cool weather plants like that type of environment. In the spring, we fight. As soon as we can get it worked in the ground, we mud it in, we push it in the ground, and we get this, it's nice. All of a sudden it's 90 degrees and we're in summertime, and the spring crops haven't not really had the duration in which would be required and have, for many of us, that successful radish crop, spinach crop, lettuce crop, if we're not doing it like in a low tunnel or on a high tunnel where we have more control. For us, we will plant things and then it'll be going good. Everything's great. Oh, we're going to get a harvest probably in about 2 weeks. Boom, hot. Days get longer, it gets hot. These plants don't like it. They go into a bolting stage because of those two factors, the heat and the duration of the light. And you can salvage some, but you can't salvage all. So in the fall, you get it's reversed. You just have to, some of these plants are more tender and they will handle a frost, not a severe frost, but a light frost. So anyway, we're going to go over some of these plants in which you can plant based on when it's best for you in your area based on your last average frost date. And that doesn't mean your last average frost date for us, October 15th, doesn't mean that day everything's dead. These plants can handle a light frost, and you may have to cover them if it's a really cold frost or a freeze, but they're going to last into the fall, in my opinion, much better than they do in the spring.
Right, absolutely. So that is something to keep in mind, is that because you don't have that chance of bolting, you could grow some things that maybe you didn't get a chance to grow.
Or if you can experiment in a different fashion.
Yeah, like for example, rutabagas, we usually have pretty good turnips. Yeah. We have pretty good luck with in the fall.
Right. We tried to plant them, I think, 5 years, rutabagas in the spring, and we got one good harvest, and the other times they didn't bulb. They got the heat got to them and they went to seed. So we plant them. Turnips take 60 days to reach maturity. Rutabagas take 90, and we plant them in our zone 6. At that point, it was zone 5 before the USDA re-racked the zones. We planted them the first week in August and was harvesting them October, November before the snow came.
Right. So that was something that worked out for us, and that's something that you could try. Radishes, they take 30 days, so you would want to wait to plant. You wouldn't want to plant them too soon. Unless you want them sooner, you probably could, but
they're going to go to seed.
Yeah,
they're going to bolt.
Yeah. So
they want that cool soil.
And then lettuces, again, that's a good option. Those you could probably wait too, because those grow pretty quickly, depending on the type of lettuce. And then peas, 60 to 70 days before your last average frost date. So,
well, with the peas, if you can get they could go probably 2 or 3 weeks past that last average frost date. And sometimes with like carrots or beets, we're talking about, you get that that frost or that chill. It makes them grow a little better, taste a little better too, because they're releasing some of the sugars inside with that coldness.
Yeah, you can do that as well. You could even see, what might be smart to wait on or to do earlier. Bok choy, that is 45 to 70 days.
It does not like the heat.
It does not like the heat. Have you ever had much success with bok choy?
We had a good success like 2 years, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And now we were growing it in the spring. We never attempted to grow it.
I was going to say maybe we should try it in the fall.
And for some of us, and we are included in this category, we worked hard to get the soil conditioned to weed and get everything set up in the spring, and we're all excited because it's spring. It's winter's over, so we start planting, and then we transition very quickly into summer crops, and then the weeds get involved. It gets hot, and some of us kind of go, okay, whatever's there, we're going to harvest it, and we're thankful that we've got it, but we're shutting it down as soon as all the tomatoes get ripe, or we dig the potatoes up, and that's it, because we're done, and we'll just take the winter off, and we'll start again next spring.
Yeah. Another one is spinach. I know a lot of people like to grow spinach.
Well, Popeye likes spinach.
Yeah, Popeye likes spinach.
Olive Oil doesn't like spinach. Did she ever like spinach? She would eat it every now and then, wouldn't she?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not a Popeye expert. Call in if you're a Popeye expert. So spinach is another option. And then cilantro. Cilantro is a cooler weather crop.
Everybody loves cilantro.
Yes. Well, no, unless you don't like cilantro.
Well, yeah. But
unless it tastes like soap to you.
Yeah, some people think it does.
Yes.
This is the most, I think of all the crops, that's the most sensitive crop you can grow. That's heat sensitive. It hates, it just, boom, you plant it and it's already bolting the next day.
Look at it the wrong way.
Right.
And it doesn't like you.
Now, we have found a method in which you can grow cilantro year-round, regardless of where you live. You grow it inside in a windowsill, and you can find that video on our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardeners.com. Search for cilantro year-round growing, and we walk through the steps. It's like a 3-minute video. So you can grow it indoors. We have done it. It works very well. Now, you can go buy cilantro at the store, and what are we talking?
Like 80 cents a bunch.
But the hassle of going there, if you had multiple bunches growing in your windowsill, you don't have to go to the grocery store. Saves you a trip.
This is true. You also want to make sure you're eating it if you are growing it. You might not eat that much cilantro. So if you do I enjoy it, but I don't always buy it.
Now, what do you use? We use it for tacos.
Like tacos, I put it on different like stir fries. We had stir fry for dinner recently. If I had some cilantro, I would have snipped some off and put it on there, but I did not. What else? Any sort of, a lot of Asian food, a lot of like taco type food.
Now, if you don't know, and there's many people who don't know what certain vegetables
pico de gallo,
taste like, because they've never grown these things. You heard about it. It's not like it's a foreign thing, but yeah, I've heard about cilantro, I heard about thyme, but I don't think I've ever ate it. Certainly spend the 80 cents to see if you even like it.
You can usually tell, like, if you like pico de gallo is like that fresh cut salsa.
It's in there already, whether you knew it or not.
I think you would be able to know if you liked it. I don't know. I guess it depends on the
Well, the same thing with bok choy, or if you're talking Jerusalem artichokes or something, like that. You want to find somebody in which you can, instead of growing 80 pounds of this stuff and going, I don't like this.
Right. And it's a low commitment, to go to the store and spend 80 cents on some cilantro. I wouldn't just eat it by the bunch, but I would definitely give a little taste.
Unless you really like it. And
I mean,
you and your pet rabbit could share it while you're watching Jeopardy.
I hope rabbits can have cilantro.
I don't know
why they couldn't.
I don't know if they can or can't.
So here's a vegetable that's a fall planting vegetable, but it's not a fall harvest vegetable, and that would be garlic. Yeah,
garlic is a really simple plant to grow. You want to plant it about 30 days before your first hard freeze. We'll talk about that in about a month or so, how to grow the best garlic. If you've never grown garlic, or if you're having problems with garlic, we'll talk about the great detail of the simplicity of how to grow it so you can harvest it. But you're planting it in late fall, and you're harvesting it in late spring, early midsummer, based on your geographical area. It's going to take a lot of real estate, but it is worth it. If you've never had homegrown garlic, you are missing. It's the same mindset of store-bought tomato, homegrown tomato. One goes in the trash, one you can't get enough of.
Right. That's very true with garlic and tomatoes, and I think even stuff like radishes and pretty much anything that you can grow is going to naturally taste